Hey, hi everyone.
Hi.
And
Can you explain the what is VLAN? Or anyone?
uh,
Like,
it's a logical network where it is used to connect the devices within the local area network.
It's a virtual local area network. It's a logical grouping of devices like connecting to Ethernet segment, and also it helps network by reducing the some number of broadcast network with network subnet, and it also allows multiple networks like to share the same physical with networks.
okay, anyone others?
Each VLAN represents a unique broadcast domain, like traffic between devices within the same VLAN is switched, and traffic between devices in different VLANs requires a layer 3 device for communication.
Fine. Apart from that, anyone else? Okay, basically switch what it will be do. Basically switch what it will be do. It's a switch. It's a layer 2 device. This one is a switch. It's a layer 2 device. And layer 2, what frames will happen or how the frames packets will flow. How they are communicates. If the device originated some frame packet, some frame, then how it will move? It will be broadcast the information or it will be unicast the information. Switch.
Broadcasting.
Like broadcast.
So it is kind of single broadcast domain, right? So if I want to break this single broadcast domain, because this device is sending to every device information, it's if it is valuable information, if one more switch is connected here, if one more switch, one more PC, one more end device is connected here, it is broadcasting the information. But I want to communicate this device to this device, but it is sending to every device. So it is a kind of single broadcast domain. It's a large, big broadcast because it is sending to every device. So I should have to break this broadcast domain. I need to break this broadcast domain. So we have a concept VLAN. With the help of VLAN, we can break this single broadcast domain. Then we'll create multiple broadcast domains. This is VLAN 10 and this is VLAN 20 and 30 and 40. That time every VLAN is isolated. So by default, they won't communicate when we created the VLAN, these VLANs. They won't communicate, they isolated by default. If I want to communicate the VLAN, here we have concept that is inter VLAN routing. Understood what it is doing. My requirement is here. First requirement is I don't want to communicate each other. My second requirement is like some other requirement. This VLAN wants to communicate only 30. Okay. This VLAN wants to communicate like 30 to 30, 20 to 30, 20, 20 to 40. This kind of requirements also come in real time. Understood? Because different floors. At VLAN 10 is one floor and 20 is second floor and 30 is third floor. Likewise, By default, they won't communicate to each other. If some requirement will be came to communicate, that time we need a L3 device. What we have L3 devices? Which devices we have in L3?
Router, multi-layer switch.
Good. One is router, other one is multi-layer switch. So first we'll enter VLAN with router on a stick method. It's a this one is router and this one is a stick. You can assume this one is a stick. So that is called, we call it as a router on a stick. This one is, you can assume like this one is a stick. Router on a stick method. Apart from that, we have multi-layer switch. We'll try this lab next for this after this. Okay, the concept why we required inter VLAN routing, everyone understood? So if you are not understood, I will repeat again. Say yes or no.
Yes.
Fine, good. So here I have taken two different VLAN pieces. You can assume here, if you want, you can take different multiple pieces also, not required. Here, this is VLAN 10 and IP address is like 192.168.10.110 and for this PC having slash value 24, you can assume, and default gateway is what is default gateway? Anyone can. What is a default gateway?
It just route the network, like it's an exit and entry point of a network.
Fine. VLAN 20 and here IP address is 192.168.20.120 and gateways. See, now listen carefully here what I am doing. So I'm creating here two sub interfaces because here the default gateway of this interface is virtual interface I am creating. This is a DG default gateway. Here one of the sub interface. Sub interface, the IP address is for this and one more sub interface here. Sub interface is FA fast Ethernet 0/0 and .10. 10 is nothing but VLAN ID, and here the sub interface is fast Ethernet 0/0 and .20 because it's a sub, it is represented as a sub interface, so it's a physical interface FA 0/0. In this physical interface I have created like two sub interfaces. So how the packet flow will happen here? By default, the packet flow will be here, the ARP table generated. So it's a within a default gateway, it's a exit or entry point of network. So this one is the different network and this one is the different network, because 192.168.20.1 and here it is a different network. So whenever ARP generated within the ARP protocol is layer 2 protocol. So ARP request or ARP reply also within L2 level only. So up to here. So here the packet flow will happen like first source and this one is destination. So source IP address is 190. I want to ping from this device to this device. Both are different VLAN, even though both are different network. So my source IP address is 10.1. I know the destination IP address also 20.1. So here this MAC address is A, you can assume, and this one is the B, and this one is a C, and this one is a D. Because this is a logical interface, even though this interface having a MAC address. So you can assume our source MAC address is. Any doubts? Yes. So my source MAC address is here A, and now I don't know the MAC address of destination, so it will broadcast the information. After the broadcasting information, what it will be happen up to router, it will be moved. Even though it's a default gateway, same network only, it will be happen. Now, who will be give the reply for this? Up to router. Here routing will be originated. The router perform the routing here. So here routing perform the first, once it will be packet reach to here up to here with the help of ARP, then this router don't know the destination IP address, but destination MAC address, but destination IP address he knows, because that is enabled in routing table, in this routing table. So the router will forward the traffic of this network. The router will forward the traffic up to here. So that time this PC and VLAN 20 will give her MAC address to router. Then in router, that router will store this MAC address. That time the router will give reply for this. The MAC address is B only. Okay, up to B only. With the help of B only, here it will be proxy type. You can assume it's kind of proxy ARP. So because ARP is working in L2 only. So whenever the traffic originated, traffic to different network, that time router within whichever the gateway is there, up to that gateway only give the details of her MAC address. Even though the router, whenever again this PC originated traffic to for this PC, that time it will forward with the help of up in L2 it will be happen, but in L3 with the help of router stores the entire routing table, this information. Based on the L3, the packets will be forward. So this is the packet flow, and now move to the lab. Any doubts, guys? If you have any silly doubts, also ask.
Can you explain again, like
Fine.
just outline?
Okay, no issue. So guys, here you can see what it is happen? So this is the source IP address and this one is the destination IP address. I'm trying to ping from source to destination with the help of L3 protocol. With the help of L3 protocol. So that time, whenever I'm trying to ping the information, right? In ping, apart from that, here one more protocol will work, ICMP. In this ICMP, ARP table will generate.
మనం ఇప్పుడు ఇది మారిస్తే మనం ఒక మెయిల్ ఐడి క్రియేట్ చేసన్నా ఆ మెయిల్ ఐడికి మనం ఒక పేరు ఇస్తాం
ఆపేసి
అవి మళ్ళీ మారిస్తే మారదా అన్నిటిలో?
చందన్, నువ్వు మ్యూట్ చేసుకొని నువ్వు మెయిల్ ఐడి క్రియేట్ చేసుకొని పంపించుకో.
ఇంకో మెయిల్ ఐడి
చరణ్ అయితే sorry, now coming to here. So in L2, sorry, it's L2. So what will happen whenever I am trying to ping from source to destination? My source IP address is 10.192.168.10.1 and destination IP address is 192.168.20.1. That time the packets, it will be at L3 with the help of the packet will be forward. The packet will be forward. Before the L3, they need a MAC address. Here we have a L2 devices. They need a MAC address. That time the MAC addresses will work on L2 only because it's ARP protocol. So my source IP address is here 192.168.10.1 and destination IP address is 20.1 and my source MAC address is A. My destination MAC address is D. This D store at router in router. But that time it will be router will proxy that information. How? With from where it is getting? From B. With the help of the B MAC interface. This interface from through it is getting. So the D will give the reply up to B only in L2, in L2, layer 2. So that time B will give the reply because B is in within a network. So B will give the reply. Understood? B only give the reply for this because here the gateway and this interface store in L2 level only because it's a different network and this is a different network. Here L2 not work. So in L3 we have a routing information. So because here we are taken the different networks. Now you got it, Akhil?
Yes.
Yes.
Like does this PC1 has the MAC address of this PC2? Like just MAC address, not about
Yeah.
and
Yeah, this is a PC1 and this is a PC2.
yeah.
No, they don't have MAC addresses.
They don't have MAC address. The router is a man in the middle who has this
Yeah.
thing, access to this
Yes.
thing, like MAC address of that. Okay.
Yes. In simple manner, that is the same thing. Fine. In MAC addresses at L2 levels only. Okay. This is first. I'll configure here. I'll give the interfaces from top or bottom to top will go. First, I'll give the interfaces to. I'll configure assign the interfaces to PCs 192.168.10.10 and subnet mask and default gateway 192.168.10.1 default gateway and for this PC 192.168.20.20 for this PC and 192.168.20.1. Okay, now move to the switch. This interface and this interface. access level. Okay. And this interface has a trunk, because here we have different VLAN information to carry for this. Multiple VLAN information it is carrying. Enable config terminal interface fast Ethernet. Zero by one. Sorry, before that we have to create the VLANs. VLAN 10. Name as anything. Count. Exit. And interface fast Ethernet 0 by 1, and it's a switch port mode is access, and which VLAN switch port access VLAN 10. It's a basic configuration of what I'll inform here. You are this port as a VLAN 10. Apart from that, it's an access port. You are in VLAN 10. You are in access port with the help of two commands. You are in access mode and you are the VLAN 10. Under VLAN 10, this is a port number. The 2-line configuration 1, 2. And interface fast Ethernet 0 by 2 for this interface. Switch port mode access and switch port access VLAN. What happened? I haven't create the VLAN. That is the reason it is not taking. Does not exist that VLAN. So before that we have to create VLAN 20. Name anything. And interface fast Ethernet 0 by 2. Switch port mode access switch port access VLAN 20. Now for this interface as a trunk, how can I enable interface fast Ethernet 0 by 3 and switch port mode the trunk. Exit. So running configuration, you can check here. This I have created. That's enough. Now move to the router. In this router, it by default configuration. So enable configure terminal interface fast Ethernet 0 by 0 and no shutdown. You can check here still the interface is shutdown mode. Whenever I'll use no shutdown command, it will be green color. Now check here. Now exit, that much only, and I have to create a sub interfaces and logical interfaces. Those are the logical interfaces. Apart from that, for that logical virtual local area network I have to have. How I'll assign the IP addresses for that. How? For that, we'll check here. Interface fast Ethernet 0 by 0 and dot 10. It's a sub interface. We call it as a logical interface. Created. And give the IP address 192.168.10.1 and 255.255.255.0. It won't take, because here we should have to give a port as a encapsulation, that is encapsulation .1q and ISL. We have two modes, .1q or ISL. then only it will be take, because it's a logical interface. So how we can give encapsulation? Here we have, it is showing only .1 queue because of packet tracer and .1 queue, and after then any logical interface you can check. VLAN unders, it's a considered as a VLAN ID. 10 for this 10, and give the IP address now. IP address 192.168.10.1. It's a default gateway of these interfaces, and entire this VLAN, it's a default gateway. If you are giving any new PCs also, for that also this is the default gateway. Now it is accepted. Now check what we did. Show interface. So IP interface brief. With the help of, we can check the interface level. We created one sub interface. We have assigned the IP address for that. Now check VLAN. Show VLAN. VLAN. We haven't assigned that VLAN because that is the reason it's showing. So IP interface brief. Up only. So we should have to create interface. Then another interface fast Ethernet 0x0.20, and IP address it won't take. So encapsulation .1q 20, and IP address 192.168.20.1 and 255.255.255.0. So IP route. You can check with the help of routing table, those will be available or not. See, you can check it's the interface exit or entry point of this VLAN, and this is the 192.168.20.0. This is the network. In that network, entry and exit point is this interface. Now try to ping. One 192.168.20.20. It is pinging. Now you can check the ARP table. So ARP from where we are getting up to gateway only. Now you can try for this PC also. .1. It's a default gateway. I tried to ping, and this one is this interface. This PC to this PC. This is pinging. Now check the ARP table. MAC table ARP -A. Only one ARP we are getting from reply for this up to this interface only. Here we are getting the entire switching table, that is MAC table. See, VLAN 10, fast Ethernet 0x1, and 0x3. Say by default VLAN 1, it is carrying the information. So this is a VLAN 20. One is for this interface, one is for this interface. This interface, and this one is the top one. switch is maintaining here, L2. Everyone got it? How we can communicate two different VLANs? Try to give one more, create one more VLAN here. It won't ping because if you want to ping this information, it's under VLAN 30. VLAN 30 and IP address is 192.168.30.30 and default gateway is 30.1. We'll give the IP address 192.168.30.30 and 30.1 and give here enable interface zero by 4 and switch port mode. Before that, I'll create the VLAN 30 and interface fast Ethernet 0 by 4 and switch port mode access switch port access VLAN 30. Try to ping from this here. Destination host is unreachable because who is giving the reply up to this is up to here. You can check here. Gateway is giving reply. We are getting the reply from gateway. This host is unreachable because this is the different VLAN. If we want to communicate again, we have to create one more sub interface. In that sub interface, we have to give that encapsulation is .1q and IP address for this default gateway. Then it will be ping. Do this lab and up to here do this. We'll try different one. Understood the concept? If you are understood, then you can easily try to ping for this PC. If you are getting any doubts, tomorrow ask me. I'll show you that. This is your assignment, and we'll move to the next session. Next one, MLS multi-layer switch. How we'll communicate with the help of multi-layer switch. What you will do this or we'll move forward, guys? We'll try this lab tomorrow.
Yes, we'll try it tomorrow.
Good.
Yes.
Easy. Just create the sub interface. If you want your reference, I will give the configuration. So running configuration. In chat box, I have given the configuration. Go through this. Same thing. Fine. Now move to the multi-layer switch. I'm taking here one multi-layer switch and SVI, switch virtual interface. This is the interview question. SVI. What we are doing now, that is SVI. Switch virtual interface. Switch virtual interface. So here it's in this PC 192.168.10.10 and it's in VLAN 10 and this is the VLAN 20. This PC is VLAN 20 and this is the VLAN 10 and this PC is VLAN 20. Okay. And different network 192.168.20.20 and default gateway is same 10.1. This is 10.20. Take 10.20 can easily understand and 192.168 20.20. Fine. VLAN 20 and VLAN 20 and VLAN 10 and VLAN 10. Now configure L2 switch. Enable. Configure terminal. Global configuration mode interface fast Ethernet 0/2 for this interface. This interface and this interface access and this interface as a trunk and this one also trunk and both here interfaces are access. These are access and this is a trunk. Zero by two. Before that, we have to create the VLAN. So VLAN, then interface VLAN 20 also. VLAN 20 exit and interface fast Ethernet 0/2. Switch port mode access and switch port access VLAN 10. This is a VLAN 10 and access mode. Now move to 3. Interface fast Ethernet 0/3. Switch port mode access and switch port access VLAN 20. Understood. As the interface is under VLAN 10 and this is the access port and this is a VLAN 20 under VLAN 20 access port. For same thing 10 and 20. Enable config terminal interface fast Ethernet 0/2 and VLAN 10 VLAN 20 name and the name fast Ethernet 0/2 switch port mode access and switch port access VLAN 10 and exit from here and 0/3 interface fast Ethernet 0/3 switch port mode access and switch port access VLAN 20. I have configured the VLAN. Now try to assign the IP addresses and try to ping the destinations. It will be ping or not. And first 192.168.10.10 192.168.10.1 192.168.10.20.10 192.168.20.1 and try to ping from here to here. Ping 192.168.20.10. Request a timeout. They are not communicating because both are isolated. Just assign here one more PC. If this PC is in same network and that is the 20, IP address is 20, try to ping. This is also configured as an access port as a VLAN 10. Then it will be ping. Because here two different VLANs is there. That is the reason they are not pinging. Understood? So here you can try to from here also just create the IP addresses and assign the IP addresses. One 192.168.10.20 and I'll show you the how we'll troubleshoot if VLANs are not communicate. Once we'll finish it. 10.1. Which kind of error will be happen? Which kind of troubleshooting we should have to do in an L2 level. Right, IP addresses and try to ping same VLAN also. Try to ping 192.168. This is the same VLAN 20.10. Still they are not communicating to each other. The packet is here only dropping. Here only dropping because of we haven't configured still here. We'll try to give the assigning of this L3 switch. How will assign the IP addresses to VLAN? I'm creating virtual interface now. That is like interface VLAN. Okay, 10 or it's a kind of virtual interface and I am assigning the IP address for individual VLAN, I'm assigning here not logical interface. Earlier sub interface I did. Now I'm assigning the IP address for VLAN. I'm assigning the IP address for VLAN. How I'll assign? Just check here. Enable config terminal. See guys, it's a seriously, it's important thing what I am doing now. How we will assign the interface to VLANs. Interface. Before that, it show VLAN. Here I don't have any VLANs. Only by default VLAN one is there, and apart from that, these are the registered VLANs. Leave it. We don't. I haven't assigned the VLAN till. Just I'll assign the VLAN. How config the VLAN 10 and name count exit and VLAN 20 name HR exit. Now check show VLAN name and everything came, but I haven't assigned the port here till. And what I am configuring here, just check. Now also I'm not assigning. Later also I'll show you. Just remember this because I am enabling trunking here. So config terminal interface VLAN 10. You can check. This is a logical interfaces. Change it to up. Now check show IP interface brief. With this command, you can check whichever the interface, logical or physical. You can check this. It's a troubleshooting command. What that is? Show interface. Sorry. Show IP interface brief. Just remember this command. It's important command. So I have created one VLAN till IP assign is not done. Again, protocol also down here. Protocol also down because I haven't enabled. You are the trunking and you are in tagging mode, encapsulation tagging mode. That one you are ASL. I haven't assigned. That is the reason protocol also showing down. So how will assign the IP address? Config terminal interface VLAN 10 interface VLAN 10 and IP address 192.168. For VLAN 10 is default gateway is 10.1 and 255.255.255.0 is subnet mask. No need to do shutdown also. No shutdown use command. Now check it. Show IP interface brief. Yes, we have the assigned the interface till protocol is down. We'll check why it is down. With this command. So now config terminal interface. We'll assign another also before that and interface VLAN 20 protocol status is sorry, admin status is up. You can check hit this command and IP address is 192.168.20.1 subnet mask and exit. Till anyone have any questions? Show IP interface brief. we have the assigned interfaces. So interface trunk. No trunking. No. No need to do in between trunking. Here it will be automatic. I'll show you once. If you have any question till what we did here, what we did, just I have assigned the IP addresses. I created one virtual interface. Okay. So by default, switch what it will do, all the interfaces are switch mode enabled. So here routing will not happen. So if you want to do show IP route, once you'll get the routing information, then only you can communicate. Otherwise, you cannot communicate. Understood? By default, routing is disabled because of switch is acting as a L2, even though it is MLS, multi-layer switch. So routing is disabled here. So what we have to do here, if I want to enable the routing, IP because this is a command only. Now you can check show IP routing. Still route is not enabled because enabled is show running configuration. We haven't assigned here also trunk, and in between trunking is not happen. So that is the reason we have to check trunk and in this routing. This is the two things this is the routing apart from that enable trunk. Then only they can communicate. Interface fast Ethernet 0x1 switch port mode trunk. And for the same here also enable interface fast Ethernet 0x1 switch port mode trunk. And for the same multi-layer switch also. Interface range fast Ethernet 0x1 and switch port here trunk. Encapsulation .1q. Before that, if we haven't assigned this, I'll show you. Show no interface switch port mode trunk. Use directly this command. It rejected. The command is rejected earlier here in L2. It will be happen because they are directly .1q mode. Encapsulation is directly .1q. Switch port trunk. Here it is showing allowed, but here it is different. Switch port trunk. It is showing encapsulation, and here we have two types: .1q and ISL. It's a packet tracer. It is showing only one, that is .1q. ISL is not supported here. Okay. So once you enable this thing, now try to switch port. Earlier it is rejected. Now try to give switch port mode trunk. It is now accepted. Now check show interface trunk. Fast Ethernet and both are in trunking mode. White is showing encapsulation .1 queue and here it is showing that is DTP dynamic trunking protocol we'll discuss. But both are in .1 queue mode. Understood up to here? Now try to check show IP interface brief. Now you can check that is enabled. Now because of we enable the protocol .1 queue. Earlier it was showing down only. Now we enable. So now it is a upper. Any questions before that? Guys, any questions?
No.
Everyone understood, right? What is happening here? So now,
Yes.
good. Now try to communicate every device to every device. And later I'll show you some troubleshooting commands. Now try to ping from 10 here, this PC to this PC. Both are in different VLANs. Now it is pinging. Now try to ping different location PC. Now 22 is 1. Now this is the happening here to here. It's working, and we'll check a different location. And different location, same VLAN. .20. It's pinging. It's working, and this is also working. Fine. Now check ARP table. Which ARP we are getting? Even though it is a different location, but same network. That is the reason we are getting ARP table. Same network. ARP, MAC address of this PC. Can verify it. What is the MAC? 55AC, 55AC. IP config, and how will verify the MAC details? IP config. This is 55AC. Yes, 55AC you are getting. Now you can check here ARP table. We are getting up to here only because we haven't originated the traffic call. Now originate some traffic 192.168.20.20. Now check ARP table. Now we are getting the ARP table of this PC also. For this PC also, even they are different location. Here L3 device also is there. Ajay, now you got it. Because here the responsibilities of VLAN as a default gateway, VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. Here we created virtual interfaces. SVI, switch virtual interfaces. SVI. How, if interviewer asks how you will assign to IP address to VLAN, just like interface VLAN 10 and IP address will assign. We'll move to the interface level with the help of that VLAN. Before that, we'll create the VLAN and that is switch. Then we'll move to the virtual interface of that. Akhil, have you got it? Earlier you haven't.
Yeah.
Fine. Any doubts in this lab? In SVI.
No.
So what we did till it's dynamically trunking will enabled. Dynamically trunk will, sorry, not dynamically. We enabled statically. We manually enabled the trunking. Now we have another protocol that is DTP, Dynamic Trunking Protocol. Dynamic Trunking Protocol. If you have two switches, if multiple VLAN information will carry with the help of trunking only. So here with the help of DTP, one side you enable whichever, the automatically the other end also it will be enabled trunking. And this trunking, they'll it means they'll carry the multiple VLAN information, right? So one side you enable the trunking, automatically other end it will be enabled. Here we have a different concept. Before that, in DTP, it's a Cisco proprietary protocol actually. In Cisco devices only it is working. It will be work. DTP in Cisco devices only it will work. And it's a layer 2 protocol. DTP is layer 2 because in trunking only we can enable. In L3 it won't work. It is a L2 protocol only. And with the help of DTP, it'll create trunk port and as well as access port only. Access port also. How? Because it's a switch. You can assume this is a PC. If one side is enabled access port, the automatically this is also access, it will be assumed in between access. One side if you enable the access, here no need right trunk because trunk is at between a switch. So once you enable the trunk, automatically it will be enabled here also. So DTP work on two ways, access also and trunk also. It will be assigned dynamically. One side you assign as a access and automatically assign the access in remote side also. And this DTP is by default enabled up to whenever you are not enable .1q or ISL. This is the, we are enabling the protocol. We are enabling this .1q and enable manually we are enabling. Up to whenever you are not assigning, up to that DTP is enabled by default in every switch. You can check here. I am taking one switch. I am taking one of the switch here. And I think I'll clear this things. Till these ports are up, we will discuss. It will be take 30 seconds because of STP is working in this ports spanning tree protocol. That is the reason it is taking the time 30 seconds. So how we will check the port in which status? Whichever ports on which status, how we will check? Show interface. I haven't assigned anything in till. I haven't assigned anything. Just I have taken the switches and power on that switches. Show interface fast Ethernet 0/1 and switch port mode. Which switch port you are in? So here you can check switch port assign enable switch. By default it is acting as a L2 switch. That is the reason it's enabled. And can check here negotiated. The negotiated, it means we have three types of switch port modes. One is dot, 1Q, ISL, and negotiated. This is the negotiated third one. By default mode is negotiated. One side you enable the trunk. Again you will inform that you are in DTP mode. DTP, dynamic trunking protocol. Then automatically this port will move to the trunking mode. So if you have multiple switches in your organization, likewise, these all are the L access switches or L3 switches. Access switches, these access switches connected to multiple ports. That time we'll use this protocol. This is a master switch, and these all are, you can assume this is a slave switches or something else. But this is a master switch. That is the reason we'll enable here trunk. Then these all are automatically they'll enable. That time here we have like enabling part. I'll show you that. Before that, it's a Cisco proprietary and it's a L2 protocol, and we will enable as it will create trunk port and access port. By default, DTP is enabled. Can check here. This is a dynamic auto. This is, we call it as a access. It is a DTP message. One of the DTP desirable. Always it is a auto mode. Before that, and it is uses the multicast MAC addresses like 0100.0CCC.CCCC because it's a 48-bit. So this is the by default MAC address, 48-bit of MAC address. And it will be sent every 30 seconds the messages, DTP messages. Every 30 seconds, periodically it will be sent the messages. Periodically means every 30 seconds DTP message will be sent. You are in still dynamic auto mode or dynamic desirable mode. It will be every 30 seconds, it will be DTP message will be sent. And now move to the, here we have like two types of modes, that is dynamic administrative modes, dynamic auto and dynamic desirable. So by default mode is dynamic auto mode. Here you can check dynamic auto mode. Every switch having dynamic auto and dynamic auto mode only. You can check from here, this switch also. Switch to interface fast Ethernet 0x1 and switch port mode. Yeah. See, you can check here dynamic auto. This mode also dynamic auto, and this switch also by default dynamic auto. Whenever the dynamic auto, here no trunk will not happen by default. So we should have to enable the trunk. Here is not trunking enabled, right? Till that is the reason the negotiation mode is dynamic auto. That time these ports assume like these ports are like thinking they are in not any modes. So we have two types of mode. One is dynamic auto and other one is dynamic desirable. Both are in dynamic desirable. Then negotiation will be happen. That is negotiation. It means they will try to negotiate to establish the trunking. Negotiation. If one side is dynamic desirable and another side is dynamic auto, then also negotiation will be happen. What it is happening here, I'll enable one side as a URL dynamic. Now you can check here, both are in which mode? And one more protocol I'll explain. Show CDP neighbor. With this command, it's a Cisco proprietary protocol, Cisco Discovery Protocol CDP. With the help of CDP protocol, we'll check whichever my neighbor. If you have multiple neighbor also, we can check this command with the help of this command. This is the fast Ethernet. This is my neighbor. It means whenever you are using show CDP neighbor, you are checking the neighbor information. So my neighbor is in which mode? So we haven't enabled trunk. So here not trunking also showing. Once we'll enable this port as a dynamic desirable, because now this port is show interface fast Ethernet 0x1 and switch port mode is dynamic auto. That is the reason they haven't not enabled the trunking, because both are in dynamic auto and dynamic auto, no trunking enabled, even though dynamically also. So I'll make it as a dynamic desirable and this port as a dynamic auto only. Both are, this is the dynamic, this is the DD, and this one is the DA. What will happen? We'll check. So interface trunk. After then we'll check what will happen here with this command. So how will assign? Configure interface fast Ethernet 0x1. Enter to switch port, and switch port I'll use here. You are in the dynamic desirable, so mode. Set trunking mode of the interface mode and move to the dynamic set trunking mode, dynamically negotiate access or trunk. So dynamic And here we have two modes, that is dynamic auto and dynamic desirable. If dynamic auto by default mode is dynamic auto, so I'll move to the dynamic desirable. It is only, it will be a negotiate the set trunking mode dynamic negotiation parameter to auto. In this mode, it trunk will not enable, and this mode trunk will be established. Desirable. Once it will be shut down and it will be moved to up, it will be take 30 seconds. We will wait for 30 seconds. Any questions, guys? You are understanding the topic? DTP? So, now check. Interface fast Ethernet 0/1 and switch port mode. Dynamic desirable and encapsulation mode is .1Q. And administrative, here negotiation will be happen. Dynamic desirable. Statically, we are assigning the static. Here we have administrative modes, like we can assign 4 type of here. You are the static. You statically will assign. Statically will assign. You are trunk or you are in access, and will assign dynamically. You are in trunk or you are in access. Access means auto again. Here desirable. So now move to check, verify for this switch. Trunking will enable or show interface trunk. Now you can check. Negotiation is happen. Mode is desirable. Encapsulation .1Q. Trunking is enabled. Now check, here we haven't configured anything. Here we haven't configured anything. Now you can check. Show interface trunk. See, the mode is auto and trunking is enabled. That is .1Q. We haven't assigned trunking. You are the trunking mode. Negotiation, it will be happen. Understood? If
Right, so we need
both are in,
to assign only for one switch, right?
sorry, again.
Like we have to like assign only for one switch, then
Yes,
the other switch take it as a default thing.
yes, it is default. It was taken. Again, if you
Okay.
have just to go through what take it as one more switch. New switch. This is a new switch, and by default mode is for this switch. By default mode is dynamic auto, and this is the dynamic desirable. You can check here. Wait for 30 seconds. It is kind of master switch, and these are the slave switches. The primary switch, and these are the secondary switches, and this is the distribution kind of switch, and these are all are the access layer switches. That time will enable likewise. This is the distribution layer switch, and these all are the access switches. These are the not two multiple switches. If you have, then that time you will use here dynamic desirable, then they will automatically negotiate it. And enable show interface trunk. Base fast Ethernet 0x1 and switch port mode. So config terminal on this interface we should have to enable, right? Dynamic desirable. So I have enabled here only fast Ethernet 0x1. So and interface fast Ethernet 0x2 and switch port mode and dynamic desirable. That is enough. Now check. Now the interface is went down. It will move down and it will go automatically. Once it will come up, I will check. Only one line command, switch port mode dynamic desirable, and this is the dynamic auto. Both end, if dynamic desirable, negotiation will be happen there that time also. Dynamic message, DTP message will be sent in this mode and in this mode. One side is one side is DD and one side is DA. Both end DA is there, then no trunking.
Okay.
Now check here. Now check. Now port is came up. Show interface trunk. Negotiation happens. I haven't did anything in this route switch. Negotiation will happen. Now still mode is auto only. Now mode is dynamic auto only. Show CDP neighbor. This is the Cisco proprietary protocol again. CDP is a Cisco proprietary and LLDP. We have a LLDP for it's a open standard like HP, Aruba, and every vendor will use this protocol. LLDP, link layer distribution protocol. It's L2 protocol actually. It is a L2 protocol. In LAN side, in your LAN side, or if you are check your neighbor is not up, will use this show LLDP or show DCDP neighbor. With this command, we'll check our neighbors. This is a neighbor route switch and this is a neighbor switch. And if you are to checking here from this command same, if you will check, 2 will be happen originated. So CDP neighbor. This is a troubleshooting command. So you can check here. This is my fast Ethernet 0x0 and fast Ethernet 0x2. They are connected like fast Ethernet 0x1 and 0x1. Though this is the remote switches mode. The remote switches version is series is switch series is 3560 series. We'll check entire information of neighbor switch. Understood? Now dynamic desirable. If you are checking, go through here, dynamic desirable also, how will configure? Config terminal and interface fast Ethernet 0x1 and switch port mode trunk dynamic desirable. I have enabled this. This also DD and this one also DD. What will happen? We'll check here. Trunk will originated or not. Trunk will happen or not. We'll verify it. Once 30 seconds will finish. Still port is down. Till anyone have any questions? Up to that? Anyone have any questions? Apart from that, we have one more protocol here. This is also Cisco proprietary, and that is one is VTP protocol. VTP. Before that, we'll verify here. We'll move to the next. Show interface trunk. Yes, trunking is enabled. Both are desirable. And now check every 30 seconds the DTP message will be periodically, it will be sent. You are the dynamic desirable or which mode you are in that, they'll send entire trunking information. The trunking. VLAN information, native VLAN information. I'll show you. Show interface, fast Ethernet 0x1 and switch port mode. They'll share negotiation and encapsulation mode and dynamic desirable and VLAN 1 information. By default native VLAN is 1. And what is the native VLAN actually? By default here you assign VLAN 10. So in this port, whenever VLAN information came out for this here, then untagged that. Which the VLAN information is untagged. The tagging information is up to here only. In this interface, it will be more random information, untag information. Who is doing? The native VLAN. The native VLAN. It is because of what is native VLAN? It is used to support untagged traffic in trunk link. It support only .1 queue and not at ISL. In .1 queue only it will be work native VLAN. By default, native VLAN 1 is enabled. By default, native VLAN 1. Okay. If you want in real time, some security reason, you can change native VLAN, that is like 666, 555, whichever you need. But both end you should have to enable same native VLAN. If native VLAN is mismatched, then in between trunk is not originated. If native VLAN is not matched, the trunk is not originated. What it is doing? The native VLAN is untagged traffic is carrying. Untagged traffic is carrying a trunk port. Because once this VLAN 10 information is reached from access port to this switch, this is the access port, then access port VLAN tagging will be happen, and whenever it reaches to this port, it will be remove the tag VLAN 10 tag, it will be removed. Then empty VLAN it will be moved. Whenever it reaches for this interface, whichever the VLAN information is there, that responsibility for this switch, it will be again add the tag. But in between this interface trunking, the information will untag, it will be forward because of security reasons. That is native VLAN. Here the DTP will carry a 30 seconds in periodically sending the messages with native VLAN information also it will be sent. And any questions? We finished our native VLAN also. If you have a question, ask me. Otherwise, we'll move to the VTP. Have questions? Guys,
No.
fine. So what is VTP? VTP is a VLAN trunking protocol. Again, it is also Cisco proprietary protocol. And VTP is working in between Cisco switches only. In Cisco proprietary protocol, it's also. And which VLAN database information it will be carrying? VLAN, which if you have multiple VLAN, 100 of VLAN, then the VTP will carry VLAN trunking protocol, VLAN information it will be carrying. And here we have 3 types of mode. VTP required that all the participant switches joining VTP domain switch must to be belongs to the same domain. I'll explain these things. And trunking will be simultaneously simplifies the management updates. Fine. See, by default, whenever you are enabling the VTP, what is the requirement for VTP? We'll discuss for that. See, at distribution switches we have. After then we have access switches, right? These all are access switches. So in this mainly with the help of VTP, if you have 100 VLANs here, 100 of VLANs, 100 of VLAN, with the help of VTP, it will be carry the VLAN information. If you are creating any VLAN, then it will be create all the switches, access switches. This is the distribution switch and this is the access switches. If you are creating here one VLAN and you created that VLAN name is any name. Name means here account department or anything. If you are creating here 100 VLAN and that 100 VLANs different names, and you are giving that VLANs something whichever the IP, it won't carry the IP addresses and all again. Whichever you have created the VLAN information, it will be carry. Who will carry? Here we have a different modes. 3 modes we have: server mode, client mode, and transparent mode. And whichever the distribution switch is there, that is always server mode. And whichever the access switches, if this is transparent or access. Sorry, client, not access. Sorry, client. My mistake. Sorry. It's client or transparent, but distribution switches are always server mode. Now move here. What is server mode? By default, the server mode only will create, will delete, and will modify entire in VLAN database. Default mode for Cisco switches, each VTP domain must have least one VTP server, and this is the, and by default mode is in Cisco switches, by default mode is server mode. And here will create the VLAN, will delete the VLAN, will modify the VLAN. Again, here also, dynamically it is carrying the VLAN information. You are not assigning here any VLAN information. If you have 100 of switches, access switches, in these switches you are not creating. We are less work we are doing here. Only here we are creating the VLAN. It is a server mode. Server mode only the VLAN information will, whenever you are creating the VLAN, the server mode only, it will be transfer that VLAN information. The VT server mode only responsible. If this is the client mode, here we cannot modify the VLAN, we cannot create the VLAN, we cannot delete the VLAN. Those are relay advertisement for other switches update VLAN information. A client will also forward VLAN advertisement out of every trunk port. But if this client VLAN have another client, it will be forward that VLAN information. But you cannot create here, you cannot delete here. Where you will create only at server mode only you will create the VLAN information. You cannot create a client mode. You can create only at server mode. Again, the transparent mode. Here, the transparent mode, we can create the VLAN, we can delete the VLAN, and we can modify the VLAN. But the transparent mode, it won't share that VLAN information. Like here, server mode is sharing that VLAN information, and they are in a, whichever that server mode, they are implementing in this client mode. But whenever the transparent mode send that VLAN information, by default, it won't send her information. A transparent mode, it won't send her information. Not, it will not send. Only server mode only send. And but transparent mode, whenever the received from server mode, it will be send to other switches, whichever the VLAN information they are receiving. But it won't install, it won't implement in that VLAN database. In transparent switch maintain its own local VLAN database and does not directly participate in the VTP domain. A transparent switch will never accept VLAN database information from another switches. So it is not accepted from another switches information. Whichever the we are creating, it will be implemented there only. I'll show you in lab that thing. Before that, here domain name should match. Whichever we are creating, domain name should match. And VLAN information in that domain, same domain to share the VLAN information. Domain name should match. And authentication. Authentication means if you are creating any password, that information also should match. We'll check whatever. But we have three modes. One is server, one is client, and one is transparent. And I'll make it here simple lab. Any doubts, guys? If you have any questions, what is VTP? VTP is a Cisco proprietary protocol. It will propagate the VLAN information only, VLAN database information dynamically. Again, it is dynamically, it is propagate the VLAN information. So I am taking here three switches, 1, 2, and 3. I'll take later one more switch. This is our server and this is transparent and this is client. And now check connected these ports here. And as I mentioned, by default mode is transparent. So how will check the VTP mode? Enable show VTP status. If you want to check password, if you want to check counters, statistics, whichever status. I want to check status. Here, as I mentioned, by default mode is here server mode. By default mode is server mode. So how will enable the VTP config terminal and if you want to change the mode or anything, what I mentioned here domain VTP, we should have to create mode, we should have to tell and password and version. This should match, then only VTP messages will send to each other. If domain is mismatched or password is mismatched, they won't send. VTP, I am taking as a domain name Cisco. domain name as a Cisco. Changing VTP domain name from null to Cisco, because earlier it is null, nothing is there. Now we change it to Cisco. Now VTP mode already, server, again I am doing that only, server not required also. Check here, already the server mode, and VTP password, and I am using Cisco 123. Cisco 123, and VTP version should match version. Here we have two versions, 1 and 2. Apart from that, VTP version 3 also it is there. That is this switches packet tracer won't support, but we have VTP 3 versions, VTP 1 version, VTP 2 version, and VTP 3 version. We'll try VTP, it is not support, invalid. 2. This should have matched the information, then only they'll negotiate the information. They'll share to each other information. Now move here, what I did, show VTP status. VTP running version is 2 and domain name is here Cisco, and password is not showing here, leave it. Fine, this mode is server. Now move to here, enable. So VTP status, by default version mode is server. In server mode only we can create, we can delete, we can rechange the information of VLAN database. It server mode only. In server mode and transparent mode, whenever you are using transparent mode, it won't share that information. I will prove that. Config terminal and VTP, and domain name is here. Whichever you are using the domain name, it will be implemented at your all the LAN switches. If your domain name is mismatched, then VLAN information it won't take, it won't forward VTP, and VTP message are also not done. So domain name is must and should. Which one is domain name? I forget. What is the domain name? Anyone?
Cisco.
Fine. Okay, Cisco, right? Okay. Cisco. Domain null to Cisco, and VTP mode, as I mentioned, transparent. You can check here, you can check client server transparent. Set the device to client mode, set the device to server mode, set the device to transparent mode. I am setting this device transparent, and setting device to VTP transparent mode. Now it will be moved to server to transparent mode, and VTP password should have to match. Earlier what I have given,
Cisco 123.
fine. Is it this one? Cisco 123, right? Fine.
Yes.
The password is changed. VTP and version, it is second one. Now check show VTP status. Here the same thing, and show VTP password Cisco 123. Once I'll enable the modes, once done, then we'll create the VLAN information. Show.
Like how do we get to know the status, like on on in which VTP it lies in currently? How do we get to know?
So VTP status. With this command, we'll get the which mode it is in. Understood. So VTP. It's an interview question also. One person asked to me the same thing. How you will check the VTP status? In that answer also in that question only, whichever he asked me. Show VTP status. I'll check. Right?
Like,
Show
and
VTP.
also like it shows only the operating mode. Like, can we get to know like like, so for suppose if the VTP is client switch basically, so if it's create anything on the VTP server, like it will show that the VTP server are present or like those kind of information. Do we have any
Yes, we'll
command
check.
for
I will prove that to behold your
just
questions.
to
Just
verify
I'm
that
creating.
yeah, there is a
I'll
problem?
verify. I'll
Okay.
verify. Ask me if you have any questions. I'll verify those things also. Okay, fine. Good. Show the status we check here. That is server. Will convert that is to client mode. Configure terminal and VTP mode. First, we'll change client and we'll change to name also. Domain name VTP. Domain name as a Cisco. Domain name must match and password also must match. VTP password Cisco 123 and VTP version final version second one. So you can check here, show VLAN. Now verified. Any VLAN is there? Any VLAN assigned here? By default, whichever is there. And here also you can check, show VLAN. Any VLANs are there? No, no VLANs are there. And here you can check, show VLAN. I haven't assigned the VLAN. Before that, I'll enable for here debugging, because debugging is the only protocol will check the information, whichever the packet flow, whatever going.
Oh, one doubt, like are we using the same VPT domains, right?
Yes,
Like what if there are two mismatched domains, two mismatched VTP
the
domains?
the VLAN VTP information it won't share. The neighborship you can say like it won't share the VLAN database information, because I'll show you again. If here you create one more switch, the domain name is different here. VTP domain name is like different Cisco 123 or HP. You created likewise. Then here VTP information will not share. The negotiation will not done in between. If the domain name is mismatched, password is mismatched. Understood? Domain name must match. VTP domain name must match. Then only they'll share VLAN database. VLAN database. I'll show you that also. If domain name is mismatched, what will happen? Once we'll verify that. Now we checked here the VLAN. I haven't create. I'll create one VLAN here. Config terminal VLAN 10 name AC VLAN 20 name HR VLAN 30 name ABC and exit. I have created 3 VLAN information here. Now check here in this switch. Show VLAN. We haven't get, but wait for 30 seconds. Show VLAN. The VTP. What it is trunking? In between, I haven't enabled trunking. Trunking is not enabled. That is the reason the negotiation is not done. Trunking is not enabled. We should have to enable the trunking also in between. Interface fast Ethernet 0/1. Switch port mode trunk. And config terminal. Interface fast Ethernet 0/1. Switch port mode trunk. Exit. Interface fast Ethernet 0/2. Switch port mode trunk. And I am enabling the trunking in between entire switches in this row interface and this interface. Config terminal. Interface fast Ethernet 0/1. Now interface switch port mode trunk. I enable the entire switch port. Wait for 30 seconds because of STP. Learning, listening, forwarding state. Now we enable the debugging. Now here you can check. Relay packet received on trunk. Transparent mode. VTP logs are generated here. With the help of DTP command, relay packet received on fast Ethernet. They are sending and receiving the VTP messages. That is what the mean by. Now check here. Show VLAN. Where I have created VLAN in this switch only. I'll modify. See, I'll modify something here. Again, I'll create here VLAN 20 or something, and I'll not give any name for that. Exit and VLAN 40. I have created VLAN 40 from server mode, and I'll check from here. Show VLAN. See, VLAN 40 is came from this switch also. And I'll modify the name now. Name as a CDE. Now check here. Earlier, now VLAN 40, the name is likewise. Now check. Show VLAN. Now name also CDE. The name is changed because of client mode. You can try to create some VLAN. Config terminal and VLAN 10. VTP VLAN configuration not allowed when device is in client mode. Done. Proved. We cannot create at access switches because access switches at where it is at branch location or anywhere. So we cannot change any VTP information there. We cannot assign the IP, nothing. VLAN database, we cannot change anything. So at transparent mode, you can check. Still lags are going on. And show VLAN. Here no VLAN information came. In between only switches, transparent mode. Transparent mode, it is sending the information, but it is not implementing here. Proved, guys?
So it means that switch is disabled, right?
Not disabled. It is working fine only. Here, if you want, you can create whichever VLAN. Config terminal, whichever you are create, it is secure also. The information, it is owned to share to anyone. This, if you are creating VLAN 100, VLAN
I mean,
100.
VTP on the switch is disabled basically. Like it was meant to
VTP
be
is,
transferred.
so VLAN. Yeah, VTP you can disable, you can say like this. We created two VLANs. You can check from here 100 and 200. Show VLAN. So we haven't get that VLAN. We have 100 to 100. Understood? Whichever we are creating here only in server mode, that only the power and it only the it is like distribution switch. This is like you can call it as a branch location also. If that is main routing center, we will keep it on that location, transparent mode, because in some main routing center also we should have to create some VLANs. But this whichever transparent mode, it is VTP enabled only, but it is only whichever the receiving that information only sharing. But whichever her information, the transparent mode switch having information, whichever that creating the information, it won't share. Now we'll create one more will what we'll do? We'll modify the VLAN. VLAN 100 is there, existed VLAN, and we'll change it as a name, some X, Y, Z. You can check, show VLAN. Here you can check here. Show VLAN. It won't send to anyone, even though server also it won't receive that information. So VLAN. Here you cannot get the 200 and 100 VLAN. If you are modifying also a transparent mode. This is all about VTP. If one more switch is there, see here, one more switch is there. Is also this one also client and this one also client. So client will be share the information. Just enable the DTP in between for this. I haven't assigned anything this switch, new switch. Config terminal, interface, fast Ethernet 0/2 and switch port mode trunk. And for this same thing, just enable the trunk in between. Enable interface fast Ethernet 0/1 and switch port mode trunk. Just enable the trunk mode. We'll check after 30 seconds what will happen. Wait for the other show spanning tree. The port is listening state now here and show spanning tree. Spanning tree also L2 protocol now came to forwarding state. Now check here after 30 seconds. Show VTP status server only and will config. We'll check. Show VLAN. I haven't assigned any domain name, nothing. So the new switch, I haven't assigned the domain name, nothing. That is the reason it is not getting. Domain name also mismatch, nothing. Understood? Now you ask this question, right?
Yes.
Now what, Pritam? Yeah, if domain name not, if domain name is not mismatch, if you are assigning any different name also, that is also useless.
Yes.
Password also not match, version also not match, that is also mismatch. Then it won't take. So we'll configure as this also client mode. So config terminal VTP domain Cisco and VTP mode client and VTP password. We'll check. Up to here we'll check. Show. I haven't assigned the password also, so it is won't taking, not taking. Even though I have configured trunk port in between, right? Okay. Configure the VLAN password also. VTP password is Cisco 123 and version VTP version 2. Now check it. Show VTP status. It's a client and mode is client. Whichever, whenever the sending the any update, receiving the update, the configuration revision number, it is there. With the help of configuration revision number only, it will be sent and receive the information. Maximum 255 routers, maximum 255 routers up to if connected hopes, hope by hope, if likewise. Maximum 255 routers, it will be send the information. After then, we'll create likewise. Maximum 255 switches, yeah. Sorry, switches. Maximum 255 switches, it will be sent. After then, if 256 switch is there, then it won't send the VTP information. Maximum 255 support up to. And whichever the information is sending, that is with the help of CR number, that is 9. Now check, show VLAN. Already it is received. Can verify here. We created 10, 20, 30, 40 because in between client also it is share the information, whichever they have. It have the information, it will be sent VLAN database information. Guys, this is all about VTP and DTP and Inter VLAN routing. Today we discussed Inter VLAN routing and VTP and DTP. These all are the inter. VTP and DTP are the Cisco proprietary protocol, and trunking is working on this with the help of this protocol, and VTP with the help of VTP will carry the VLAN information. This is also important thing. This also is important thing. Go through that. If you have any questions, ask me. Otherwise, we'll bind up the session.
One last question, like, so there is no mandatory to have the VTP password, right?
Mandatory only if password is mismatch. I show you right before that.
No. I'm saying that if we don't have, if we don't have any password, like as per security purpose, we are adding only the password. So if we don't add the password, like any switches, unauthorized switches can join the VTP domain and extend the information, right?
Right. So it is required to give the password.
Okay.
Uh,
I'm just asking, like,
right.
what if not?
Fine, fine. Understood. Apart from that, any questions? Akil, Lohit, Uha, Sahiti.
No, as of now.
Fine. Go through this class recording and we'll discuss more on next sessions.
Okay.
Thank you.